What's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here. It is January 30th, 2019, 9:44 p.m. West Coast time, and another day, another dollar, right? Anyway, folks, figure I'd jump on here and do an earthquake video update. I know it's been a couple days, and the last time I did do an update video, we were having quite a bit of deep earthquake activity out there around the Fiji Islands region, and also well west into the Indonesia Islands region with some deep earthquake activity as well. Looking at the earthquake 3D globe, you can tell that the earthquake activity has somewhat subsided. Those rings right there are going to drop off. There we go. So the deeper earthquake activity has kind of disappeared for the most part, except for this 4.1 up here just off of Japan region at 341 kilometers below the surface there. Other than that, the deep earthquake activity has pretty much subsided. There is a little bit of activity down here just off the coast of Mexico, south of Mexico I should say, where we're seeing some moderately deep earthquake activity there, which is kind of abnormal, because normally we see some or see quite a bit of surface type quakes there within the region. So this is somewhat new activity there with this deeper earthquake activity. It's not super deep, but it is deeper than normal. So 5.2, 180 kilometers below the surface there for this one specific earthquake there, just south of the Mexico region there. So we'll keep an eye on that area. I just, I was kind of expecting a much larger earthquake within the following days of the deep earthquake activity, but we did not see that. We've seen some moderate earthquake activity, but nothing major, which is interesting. So, it's doesn't mean we're out of the clear. I believe something's lurking out there, getting ready to let loose. We can take this back here just a few days and we can see all the earthquake activity, including the deep earthquake activity, right, that I've mentioned here in the video. Down here in Fiji Islands region, right, there's just a cluster of deep earthquakes that occurred there within the past, well, it was over the past couple days, 2 or 3 days ago. It may have been even a little bit longer than that. I've been working, so it's been kind of hard to jump back on here and do an update, but so anyway, we can take a look around the globe, right? We can still see areas that have not been hit. And that includes a small little portion off here that I kind of pinpointed out there on my last update video to watch, right? This area right in here, just northeast of Japan region there. In that subducting area. Nada. No earthquake activity occurring within that section of the plate there. You can follow the activity over the last week through the Aleutian Islands region and down through the west coast. The west coast not seeing a whole lot of activity, but there is some. Also just off the coast of Canada, Vancouver Island region, there's a little quiet zone right there too that has not had any activity to speak of. 5.9, little, well, almost a 6-pointer, right, out there in the Pacific Ocean, all by itself. But it's just, there's a lot of activity. There's no doubt. There's definitely some movement going on out there. But I'm still kind of shocked that we didn't see any type of larger earthquake activity following all this deep movement here. So, it could happen tonight. It could happen tomorrow, maybe in a couple days. But I think it's coming. Let's see. Let's take a look at the most recent quakes out here. We got a 2-pointer hitting Southern California region just now. I guess I should probably turn off the bells if I'm doing an update video, right? There we go. So that way I'm not talking over the earthquake bells, or they're not talking over me. Let's take a look around the globe here and see what's going on. Pretty quiet and mellow out there in the Mediterranean region. Quieting down, I guess, a little. Normally we see a little bit more uptick in activity within that area, but you know, it is what it is, calming down a little bit. Some minor, moderate activity, I guess, out there. 4.4 occurring out there around the China region. And also a 3.9 following up that 4.4 earthquake. So yeah, there's definitely earthquake activity occurring out there, right? There is. So we still need to be on guard and keep an eye on things. Here's California, the most recent map of earthquakes in California and Nevada region there. A little bit of activity down south of me anyway. Can zoom in here real quick and show you guys the activity that's occurring. A couple earthquakes today in the blue near Tehachapi, or just northeast of Tehachapi region there, and extending further down around San Bernardino area, a little bit of earthquake activity as well. But these are all just light earthquakes, nothing of the major or even moderate to report out there in California. Let's see here, and those were just a couple threes, lower threes. I think a 3.6 came through there near Lucerne Valley earlier today. But right now we're not looking at any type of swarming, any type of major activity in that area. Let me see here real quick and pop this up here. Scoot over here around the Salton Sea region, and you guys can see that it's pretty quiet down there. Little earthquake, 2-pointer near Palm Springs there. That's that earthquake showing up on the earthquake 3D globe. Once again, taking a look at the USGS map here. This here is the last 7 days of activity, all magnitudes. Pretty good cluster of quakes right along the west coast, and extending out towards the Juan de Fuca plate, and out there in the Pacific Ocean there in the Gorda plate out there. You can almost see a line of earthquakes there going from Southern California, right around the Tehachapi region, all the way through southern Nevada, extending up through Utah, traveling those mountains up through Utah and into Yellowstone and parts of Montana as well, right? The Intermountain West. Plate tectonics at work right there, folks. Some activity up there around Washington and Oregon as well. So generally, a lot of pressure still being applied out here on the West Coast over the last week. And, you know, it's still continuing with the red circles there in Southern California. The most recent earthquakes there. Let's see here. Yeah, so definitely on watch out here, you know, along the West Coast, as you know, we're still definitely under a lot of pressure. The activity out there around Yellowstone and up through Utah is pretty old. It's a few days old, so most of the activity, the newer activity that is occurring in California, and yeah, right around Los Angeles and the southern section of the San Andreas fault system down there. Slow slip events were kicking off here a little bit ago. I'm going to show you guys real quick. See if I can find out where those went to. That's going to be this right here. Okay. So this here is just the last 3 hours of activity here. I'm going to take it back the last 2 days. And you guys can see a pretty good cluster. Well, not a super huge cluster, but two separate clusters there in Oregon. Let me zoom in here a tad bit. Not too much, but that'll work right there. So a little bit of activity near Roseburg and also down towards the Medford region as well. This here is not earthquake activity, but rather slow slip event detection along the Cascadia subduction zone there underneath the Pacific plate. And like I said, those are over the last 2 days here. most recent last 3 hours, very sporadic. A little speck here and there, but nothing too major. Overall, pretty normal activity for this slow slip detection system out here. Let's see here real quick. Hold on a second here. Yeah, I think I covered everything I needed to. Live seismograph stations here looking pretty quiet as well. If you're wondering about Yellowstone, the activity up there is there we go. Is well, minor, a little bit of activity, earthquake activity near Madison River, and also Maple Creek region, but these are just little sporadic, small micro earthquakes here. The little, well, I guess you guys are probably wondering what all those symbols are, right? Or that interference occurring on pretty much every station. But it's not occurring on every station, just pretty much, well, heck, I guess the majority of them, right? Not for sure what it is, folks. Some type of interference on the network, on the system there. Nothing to do with actual movement or any type of activity at Yellowstone National Park. And also around Borehole, right there in the middle of the map, Borehole B208. That spiky activity right there. I'm guessing that's got to do with the weather, ice that is around or in the ground or near the seismograph station, because if these were earthquakes, we would probably be seeing the signature on other stations, which I'm not seeing. So, more than likely, and they've mentioned it too on their system, that that's similar to what ice may look like. I don't know what the ice is doing, but it's there, making some type of signature there on the seismograph stations there. Like I mentioned, if these were showing up on Upper Falls or near Lake Butte, then I would say that's some earthquake activity, but I don't believe that is. Most of the earthquake activity that I'm seeing is over here on the northwest corner of the park near Madison River, Maple Creek region, Holmes Hill. Those little spikes on the seismograph stations there are micro earthquakes. So anyway, folks, let's get the world spinning right before we have a complete fallout of people thinking the world's going to end. Well, we got a 3.8 down here in the South America region there for the most recent earthquake activity. Like I say, folks, still just, even though it looks like it may be calming down over the last 24 hours, we're still seeing some deep movement on the northwest corner of the Pacific Ring of Fire up here near Japan, 4.1, and also some deeper earthquake activity, which is somewhat abnormal compared to recent activity just south of the Mexico region here as well. So we'll keep an eye on it. In the meantime, folks, have a good night. I am off over the next couple days, but I'm pretty busy. Got a lot of stuff to do. But I will try to be on here and, of course, update you guys and make an update video if there's anything spectacular going on out there in the earthquake world. All right, folks, have a good night out there and stay safe. Peace.